che viene alla finestra, o mio tesoro, de viene a consolare il pianto mio.
I'm directing this new production of Don Giovanni. We're in Venice. Simon and I were very keen on Venice for a number of reasons, from Daphne du Maurier down all the way through the history of Venice. So that the place is full of shadows and mystery and tightness and the possibility of danger. It's always lurking there somehow. It's both beautiful and ugly at the same time, and not unlike Giovanni, and the two seem to match very well. And the costumes are quite full, so everyone has to know how to handle a pair of boots, a full skirt, the hats and all the mannerisms and everything that go with that. It's very much a tendency these days to want to modernise and go with a modern look with everybody in Armani suits or whatever it might be. We're not doing that. We've got a period look to the piece. I didn't want to modernise it. I liked the idea of working in the discipline of working in period with the piece.
For Don Giovanni, having decided to set it in Venice with Sir Tom, the director, I actually went to Venice this time. Went and took lots of photographs. We set it in Venice because of the disguised nature of this opera, but it was great to be able to do that. And just confirmed exactly that's what we wanted to do, where we wanted to set it. This is Elvira, Donna Elvira, who arrives in Venice looking for Don Giovanni, presuming he's there, and she actually has, I suppose, two outfits. She arrives, we have her arriving by boat, and it's a misty, horrible Venice day, so she has a great coat. And underneath, this rather beautiful 1680s frock. So she's our grandest lady, I would say, in the piece. And indeed, fabric-wise, she's our really brightest character from that point of view. I'm the first person to kind of sit in my studio or sit certainly with a blank piece of paper and decide quite a lot of what eventually happens. I'll do a drawing and have some idea of what colour the character should be, but no more than that really. And then I go off shopping or fabric sampling with John Little, and or we sit and look at pattern books. Usually we get a singer and we put it on their bodies and see what happens and see if it's anything like my drawing. And it's me trying to work things out as fast as possible on them for their body shapes and making sure that they're happy, I'm happy. It's really exhausting, although it doesn't seem it. I'm only just having a jolly time in front of a mirror with a singer, but it is exhausting. And it's the only chance I really get of being able to form that character. So that's Elvira, virtually finished. One thing I've noticed on these dresses is that because of the period, there's a very interesting line over the shoulders, which is exactly period, but the ladies can't actually lift their arms up very well.
I'm John, I'm the head of costume, and it's my job to organise everything and arrange for fittings, work with the designer to create all the costumes that we see on stage. It's a huge logistical task, putting together all the costumes in an opera. You can have 60 or 70 people, maybe 2 or 3 costumes each. Part of the logistical task is keeping track of everything in this book, which is what in the costume world we call the costume Bible, because it is the absolute last word concerning all the little things in the production. Once the material is chosen and ordered, we clip a little piece of the material in here so we know exactly what colours we're working with, and partly so that if we have to recreate this costume in 2 or 3 years' time, it might be for a different singer, we can go back to the source and buy the material again. Too exotic? Well, it's too expensive.
Yeah, too expensive. Move on.
No. We said we were going to simplify the design and just have an ordinary sleeve.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it would be great if we could, if there's enough of that to use for breeches.
It would.
But I think it may be pushing it, but we'll see.
I think that's all right for the coat.
Yeah?
I'm
going to write it in.
I'd like to order one pigskin in Africa colour. And can I order one skin in black lamb nappa? Okay, thank you. Bye, bye.
E gente alla finestra, forse d'essa. Psst, psst. Non ci stanchiamo, il cor mi dici che trovarlo dobbiamo. Qualcuno parla, fermatevi, riparti al comando si vola. Se non fallo e masetto, chi va là? Non risponde, anima, schioppa al muso, chi va là? Non è solo, ci vuol giudizio. Amici, non mi voglio scoprire.
My name's Mandy Bryan, and my title at Scottish Opera is Ladies Cutter and Workshop Manager, so it's a very long title. So this is me just starting a very basic bodice block. There are really complicated cutting books where they take you through stages and how to draft. Like this is called a block, basic block, but over the years I've just developed my own version, and I kind of know in your head you've got a lot of rough measurements of what size a person would be, so I kind of know what to do without even looking. My brief is very much along the lines of heaving bezoom. I've been told to keep as much flesh out there as possible. So I'll get the drawing, and I will have had a conversation with Simon, so he will have perhaps shown me some references. So in your head you're thinking, right, okay, this is what I want it to look like. And whenever somebody's talking to me about something, my brain is going and I'm thinking of things I've seen before, and I'm trying to pull on images or ideas, and then I might suddenly go, oh John, do you remember that painting, or do you remember that? And we'll try and find it on Google, or we'll try and find it in the book, and then that becomes your starting point, your reference for where you're going to go. So here is a waistline. This is a side underarm. So what I'm creating here is the top of the bodice, which is this line here, and I know it's off the shoulder, so I've just drawn myself in a quick shoulder. There's all sorts of little tricks that you know that you have to do. I know I have to do a square at that centre back, because when I seam it, I won't get a good line unless it is a right angle. I'll always carve in at the centre back here, because we all have a natural, we all come in at the back waist. So I guess you just learn over the years what works and what doesn't work. This may not make sense, but I've thrown this pattern out towards the front because I'm wanting the breasts to move forward. So because I've done that, I'm going to take some cloth off the side so it'll push everything towards the front. So I'm shortening that distance there. But there's nothing in a book that tells you to do that. That's just me knowing that that's how fabric works. I think at the end of the day it is just experience, making lots of similar things or different periods and then working out what works best. So I've got my pattern piece, and as I'm laying it on the cloth, this is the backing cloth. So this will be the structure that has the bones in it, and the pencil lines are my guidelines for the seamstresses. And at this point I start to make decisions about what seam allowance I'm going to add on. will go into a fitting with quite large seam allowances. I'll get the design and interpret it in my head, create the pattern, cut the cloth out. The cloth goes to the fantastic team I have out there, seamstresses, who will put it together, chatting to me as to how it needs to be done, because I guess it's a little bit like architecture. You need to know what the end product is in order to know where to start. So they need to know how to construct it, because you're always thinking of the very end and what's going to happen at the very end. That's that. There you go. That's the principal bodices there.
Thank you.
We're really lucky in opera because we get to work with really nice cloth and we get to do really interesting things. It's expensive. It's an expensive world to make corsets and crinolines and bustles, and we're very lucky. So because of that, the people who tend to do it are skilled and have been in the business for some time. My team are really talented. They wouldn't be here if they weren't. Sora's an amazing seamstress and very fast, so it will go through the workshop quite quickly. Really good seamstresses are rare, so they're worth their weight in gold.
The purpose of a fitting in theatre is not merely to make the thing fit. That's really easy for our skilled staff. Anyone can make it fit. Well, anyone with that skill can make it fit. The fitting is for the designer to see if the costume's going to work. Does it suit the character? Does it tell the story? Because the purpose of costumes in the theatre is not just to look pretty. The purpose is to tell the story of the opera. This is a fundamental layer here that, generally speaking, in a production like this, what we are wanting to do is to recreate as much as possible an actual historical look.
Very good fit. I'm going to measure you up. Thank you. I just wanted to see. Yeah, big pin.
I find this one of the things once you get on stage and you start to rehearsing them, it's amazing how quickly you start to get used to the feel of them. It's like part of the process as well. You find out when you're rehearsing what the problems are that you have with the costume. Like, you know, I've been alerted that I might not be able to lift my arms very high in this. You have to sort of try to find some kind of compromise, whether it's what you do physically on stage or if there's something has to be just slightly altered in the costume. It's a slightly movable feast that sometimes you start with something that looks one way and it can change quite radically by the time you get on stage, just depending on...
You constantly tweak things at rehearsal. When,
yeah.
You know what, singers, obviously you're the ones that have to stand there, but the designer's sitting there and there's people sitting there absolutely wanting to make you look as good as possible, yeah, and as right for the role as possible.
Do you want the audience as much as possible to totally believe your character and not see the workings of the machinery? You want them to just see the story and the character and the drama and not be going, oh, that girl's fiddling with her dress terribly, or she's scratching at her wig, or, you know, she looked uncomfortable, you know, and that's why, as John says, that it's very important that, you know, that everybody is trying to make sure you look as comfortable and as natural in your costume as possible. Ta-da!
Okay, great. Good. Thanks, Lisa.
For first fitting, that was pretty good. I was really happy. The corset fitted really well. So if your corset fits well, it really helps. I make decisions, I mark it up, cut it down, and then it goes back out into the workshop for the girls to stitch. They're really tight bone channels. And the bone channels have to be tight so that the steels and spirals don't twist, because if they were loose channels and they twisted, the singers would really feel it and it would really hurt. So we keep them really tight for that reason, but it makes it quite difficult to move them in and out. But I can't cut it down because I can't get the scissors through there until they're out. So I'll just check. And she complained of this area hurting her, and you can see where the cloth was being squashed. So I kind of know by cutting below that, she'll be a lot more comfortable. So that'll help. All I've got to do is alter one panel, but in order to get to that panel, I've got to take it apart. This won't take long now. This will be together in a day, and the corset will be done in half a day now. Probably only get one more go with Lisa and Simon, one more fitting. And then, yeah, you and me both, stage piano will be when we see it next.
The work I've done here has always been with Simon, and he's asked some extraordinary things to be done in the wardrobe, and they've always delivered. But the work that goes on there is extremely skilled, and within one relatively large workshop, it has to be said, you do need the space for these things. It's like a Lancashire mill up there, you know, the work that goes on is highly skilled, and the products that come out of there are really very, very beautiful, as good as anything you'll find. Fantastic.
Devi aumentare, devi aumentare.